Imagine being so dangerous that when you escape from prison, entire countries team up just to fight you. Welcome to 1815. Napoleon Bonaparte has just escaped exile on the island of Elba, marched back into Paris, and declared, "I'm back." The rest of Europe? They were not happy. They immediately formed a massive super team to take him down once and for all. Napoleon knew he was outnumbered. His only chance: strike first. And it all led to a tiny, muddy farm town in Belgium called Waterloo. Napoleon's plan was actually brilliant. He wanted to march into Belgium and smash his two closest enemies before they could join forces: the Anglo-Allied army led by the Duke of Wellington and the Prussian army led by Field Marshal Blücher. At first, it worked. Napoleon beat the Prussians at Ligny, sending them retreating. Thinking they were out of the picture, he turned his full attention to Wellington. But Wellington was a master of defense. He parked his army of 68,000 men just behind a low ridge. This sneaky reverse slope hid his men from French cannons. He also turned 3 farmhouses into heavily guarded fortresses to block the French advance. The stage was set for June 18th. But then it rained. A massive, torrential downpour turned the battlefield into thick, sticky mud. Napoleon had to wait until nearly midday for the ground to dry, so his heavy cannons wouldn't get stuck. This delay, it would cost him his empire. The battle finally kicked off around 11:30 a.m. with a massive French attack on a farmhouse called Hougoumont. It was supposed to be a fake-out to distract Wellington, but the British defenders fought like lions. It turned into a brutal, day-long tug-of-war that sucked in thousands of French troops. By mid-afternoon, things were getting chaotic. Through the thick smoke, a French commander named Marshal Ney thought he saw the British retreating. So, he ordered a massive cavalry charge, thousands of men on horseback charging up the hill. But Wellington wasn't retreating. He ordered his men into squares. Imagine hollow boxes made of soldiers pointing their bayonets outward like an angry, deadly porcupine. Horses won't charge into a wall of sharp steel. The French cavalry just circled the squares, taking heavy fire until they had to retreat. As afternoon turned to evening, Napoleon's worst nightmare arrived. Remember the Prussians he thought he chased away? Blücher kept his promise to Wellington. 50,000 angry Prussians marched through the mud and slammed right into the side of the French army. Desperate, Napoleon played his final card, the Imperial Guard. His elite, undefeated, legendary veterans. He sent them straight up the middle to break Wellington's line. As they reached the top of the ridge, British soldiers who had been hiding in the tall grass stood up and unleashed a devastating wall of musket fire. For the first time in history, the invincible Imperial Guard broke and ran. When the rest of the French army saw their heroes fleeing, absolute panic set in. The French army collapsed. Wellington famously called it the nearest run thing you ever saw in your life. Over 50,000 men were killed or wounded in a single, muddy afternoon. 4 days later, Napoleon stepped down for good. He was exiled to an even more remote island, St. Helena, ending decades of war in Europe. And that is why today, when someone suffers an ultimate, final defeat, we say they've met their Waterloo.